Hello and welcome to our Nerd Onboarding Training webinar. In this webinar, we are going to go through on-site service pricing, residential and small business service agreements, offering the total solution, the field service report, in-store service pricing, FSR reminders, no nerd downtime, and the nerds to go away. So through this webinar, we're really going to walk you through the basic policies and procedures on how to become a nerd or a field service technician. So the first thing we're going to go through is our on-site service offering. This is how our service support pricing works. So with any service call, we have an initial diagnosis fee. This is a diagnosis or assessment fee to get a nerd out to a customer's location. It's $99 for that initial diagnosis or assessment. The next charge we have after the diagnosis would be a minimum charge, and that's $129 for 10 to 15 minutes of repair work. With any of our charges outside of that diagnosis fee will get included in the overall charge or rolled into any additional labor charges. So if a customer did qualify for a minimum charge, it would be $129 total. We really reserve a minimum charge for something that we would consider a quick fix. We're not going to see this situation a lot. This would be something similar to a nerd getting called out to a customer location because the computer wouldn't turn on, and we come to find out that the computer's not plugged in. We're still offering the customer a complete and total diagnosis or assessment on the computer or on the environment so we don't miss anything. But after we do that, we really determine that it's just that 10 to 15 minutes of repair work. After that, we have 4 quadrants of pricing to choose from based on a combination of service and repair time. We have standard service, advanced service, choice service, and premium service. These quadrants are easy for nerds to use, and they're easy for customers to understand. And these allow us to provide the total solution for the customer. Right here is a picture of our service support pricing quadrants. So this really lays out how our different quadrants work. We have standard service for $179. This is something like a system tune-up or preventative maintenance. It could be a wireless router setup with up to 2 devices, or a wired printer setup. Now behind all of these goes a time frame. So as a nerd, during that initial diagnosis or assessment, you want to qualify the customer and really determine how long you think you're going to work on this computer to get a resolution. So if you start that diagnosis and you determine that the service will take anywhere from half an hour to an hour for working time to resolve an issue, that should be a standard service call. Advanced service is $199. So this would be something like a minor virus removal, wireless printer setup, or a new computer setup with data transfer under 10 gigs. And again, back to that time frame, this should be anything that's going to take an hour to an hour and a half of actual repair time. Choice service is $249. This would be something like a major virus removal, wireless setup with wireless printer, OS wipe and reload without data backup, or a new computer setup with over 10 gigs of data and Outlook configuration. This is anything that's going to take an hour and a half to 2 hours of actual repair or work time. Our last pricing quadrant is premium service for $299. This could be something like an extreme virus removal, an OS wipe and reload with data backup, or internal hardware repair. So this is our most complex service, and it's going to be any job that's going to require 2 hours to about 2 hours and 45 minutes of actual work time. Just a note, these prices include labor only. Any hardware or software required for the service is additional, and you should still be quoting that to the customer up front. So when you're presenting a customer with a pricing quadrant, you're going to let them know the cost of any additional hardware or software. So after we have our pricing quadrants, we have our residential and small business service agreements. Just a note about service agreements, the easiest way to sell a service agreement is to sell to a repeat customer. So let customers use Nerds to Go a few times, build their trust, and show customers how reliable we are. The hardest way to sell a contract is to sell to a new customer who has never used Nerds to Go before. So if you're new in a marketplace or you haven't been there too long, customers are going to want to test you out with your service. They're going to want to make sure that you have staying power, that you actually are a great service provider. So don't be surprised if you have to offer a service agreement to a customer a couple times before they decide to sign on. But we still want all of our nerds offering our service agreements. They are a great value to our customers. They are great for our business. So always offer these services to our customers as a solution. Our first service agreement is a residential service agreement. These are sold to residential customers, so anyone that lives in a home. These are 5 hours at $116 per hour for a total of $580. The hours never expire. Customers can use the time when needed. We bill with a 1 hour minimum, then in 30-minute increments. So this means if a customer calls and has a residential service agreement, it's automatically 1 hour off the service agreement. And then after that, we bill at 30-minute increments. So if you're there for an hour and 25 minutes, you would take an hour and a half off the service agreement. If you're there for an hour and 59 minutes, it's going to be 2 hours off the service agreement. With these service agreements, we offer a 24 to 48 hour response time. So this is a really great selling point. We make our residential service agreement customers a little bit higher priority. So if we're booked up for 3 days out, then we still guarantee that we'll have a 24 to 48 hour response time for our service agreement customers. Our next service agreements are small business service agreements. We have multiple options and multiple service levels. We have an hourly service plan. So these are great to use when customers need something for a break-fix situation. They start at 12 hours at $119 an hour for a total of $1,428. We also offer different monthly service plans. We advertise these as Nerds to Go is your IT department. These typically start at 2 hours per month at $124.50 for a total of $249 a month and $2,988 per year. These are big savings from our standard billable rate of $149 an hour. So anyone that's in a small business environment, once we start getting into multiple issues and we have a lot going on with the customer, we switch them over to a billable hourly rate, and that's $149 an hour. We bill at a 1 hour minimum, then in 30-minute increments, similar to the residential service agreement. And with these service agreements, we offer a 24-hour response time. So again, that's huge for small businesses. Small businesses cannot stand to be down for too long, so we can offer them a 24-hour response time. Sometimes we can do quicker if that's possible. So these are our service agreements. These are our hourly service plans. So you can see we have level 1 at 12 hours for $119 an hour for a total of $1,428. We have our level 2, and that's 24 hours for $116 an hour for a total of $2,784. We have level 3, and that's 36 hours at $110 an hour for a total of $3,960. We have our level 4 service plan, and that's $48 at $97 an hour, and that's a total of $4,656. And then our level 5 plan is 96 hours at $93 an hour for a total of $8,928. So a great way to qualify the customer and to know which level they should fall into is to do an overall assessment and really determine how many hours you think they would use in a year. And that's why we have the verbiage annual service fee. We want to kind of base this off of an annual agreement, and then once they finish up those hours, then they would renew. So we also have our monthly service plans. We have level 1, level 2, and level 3. Now we're going to go over offering the total solution. So this is part of the Nerds to Go Away, or the Nerds to Go Secret, is to always offer the total solution for the customer. And this is what really sets us apart and helps our customers work with us so that we can be their total technology partner. So to offer the total solution, we want to understand the issues in the customer's words. We're going to ask exploratory questions, and we're going to do this at the beginning of a service call. We have a great tool to be able to do this. We have an intake form. So it's really a questionnaire, so you can go through this with the customer and start to qualify them. Some great exploratory questions are, how old is the device? What do you primarily use it for? How often do you use it? Who else uses this device? Do you print from this device? When is the last time you had the device tuned up? How many computers do you have? Are there other devices connected to this computer? Who is your internet provider? How is your internet connection? Do you have internet security? Do you have a backup solution? If yes, what is it? After we ask those exploratory questions, then we diagnose the problem. We're never jumping right into the diagnosis. We're getting an overall assessment on everything before we even touch the computer. After that, we're going to offer the total solution. We're always going to offer or provide 2 valuable solutions to the customer. Solution 1 should be an immediate fix, and solution 2 should be a longer-term solution. For that longer-term solution, we want to consider service agreements, new hardware or software, backup solutions, and internet security solutions. If you look at our FSR, we have an area for solution 1, which is the immediate fix, and solution 2, which is the longer-term solution. Just a note, we do not negotiate pricing at Nerds to Go. So at Nerds to Go, we offer a service based on our 4-quadrant pricing model. Our pricing is based on the value that we provide to our customers. Services are not negotiable. We provide 2 valuable solutions so the customer has a choice. Think of when you walk into a store to buy a candy bar. Is the pricing negotiable? You can buy a regular Snickers bar, or you can buy a king-size Snickers. You can't negotiate the king-size bar for the price of a regular bar. You also can't negotiate the price of Nerds to Go services. So just know that there is huge value built into our pricing. We are working to become our customers' trusted technology advisor or partner, and we are offering the total solution to the customer. So we are doing everything right the first time, and we are there to help our customers. All right, now we're going to go through a day in the life of a nerd. So at the beginning of your shift, when you come in, you're going to review today's service call information from your route sheet or service CEO. This is very important. You want to know what your schedule is looking like for the day. Next, you're going to load your nerd bag, complete your road ready checklist, replenish your inventory as needed, and then load all inventory and equipment into your nerd car. All this needs to be done at the beginning of the day, whether or not you have service calls on your schedule or whether or not you have a first appointment on your schedule. We want you to be ready to take service calls at any time, and we don't want you wasting time loading up your van when it should have been done already. During your shift, you will complete service calls following the Nerds to Go service call steps and return any phone calls, customer messages, and emails. At the end of your shift, you'll replenish fuel on return to store if needed, unload all inventory from your nerd car, confirm and check all closed work orders in Service EO. The call center will close out the work orders throughout the day, or your customer service rep will do that. But it's still the nerd's responsibility to check everything at the end of the night and make sure everything's closed out and closed out correctly in Service CEO. You're going to submit all paperwork and payments in the Nerd Drop-Off Center and return any phone calls, customer messages, and emails. This should be done throughout the day when you have time in between service calls. But if you're so busy that you just can't get a minute to call a customer back, it needs to be done by the end of the day. We don't want customers going hours or days without hearing back from a customer, it's just not the Nerds to Go way. Our next section is the Field Service Report, or FSR. So what is the FSR, or Field Service Report? The FSR is a tool we use to guide every service call. It is a service management tool. The FSR guides the nerd through Nerds to Go service call procedure to ensure we're providing a great, consistent experience to every customer. It's an administration tool. Every field on the FSR was custom designed to help the nerd guide the service call and gather and document important information. It's a sales tool. The FSR was also designed to help the nerd offer two valuable solutions in important services such as internet security and backup solutions. It's an accountability tool. This report holds the nerd accountable for following the service call procedure on every service call. It's a time management tool. The FSR requires time tracking to ensure that we are providing a valuable solution to the customer and pricing our services accordingly. So remember back when we talked about our quadrant pricing, we said that there is a time frame behind every service. We're going to compare those time frames to the time that you were actually working with the customer. It's a real-time management tool. Nerds must submit the FSR to their designated email address immediately after every service call. Franchisees must review FSRs upon receipt and provide real-time feedback and coaching to nerds. We have steps for completing service calls. Step 1 is start. You're going to start your FSR paperwork. Get the customer and service call information from your route sheet or service CEO. Write the work order number and date on the FSR in the upper right-hand corner. Complete all client information fields on the FSR and familiarize yourself with the service call by reading the job description. That's going to help you start thinking about different solutions that you can offer to the customer. It's also going to make sure that you're prepared for the day. Sometimes customers require special hardware that you wouldn't carry on a normal basis, or maybe special tools that you wouldn't carry on a normal basis. So by getting yourself familiarized with the service calls, you'll make sure that you're ready for the day. Step 2 is contact. You're going to contact the customer and introduce yourself. Verify the address and clarify the estimated time of arrival. So this can be a very quick phone call. You just call the customer, say, "Hi, Mr. Customer, this is Morgan. I'm calling from Nerds to Go Computer Service. I just wanted to let you know that I'm on my way to your location. I should be there in about 15 minutes. And while I have you on the phone, let me just verify your address." So it's a great way to start the service call. It's a really great way to get the customer excited that you're going to be there and solve all their problems. Then step 3 is arrival. So you're going to arrive at the customer's location. You will introduce yourself by first and last name and give the customer a business card. If it's a residential location, remove your shoes upon arrival. Step 4 is introduction. Ask if there's a common area to discuss the reason for the service call, such as a kitchen table, dining room table, office, conference room table, etc. Verify why Nerds to Go is there, and ask those exploratory questions or use that intake form that we have. Ask the customer to explain the problem or reason for the service call. Restate the pricing structure. The call center or your CSR will state the pricing structure when we have the customer on the phone. However, customers may mishear it, they may misunderstand it. We want to restate it in the beginning of the service call just to make sure there are no discrepancies. Next, we're going to have the customer sign the service client authorization on the FSR. Step 5 is diagnosis. You're going to diagnose or assess the issue or request within 15 minutes after the initial consultation. So why do we sit in a common area before the diagnosis? We never sit right at the device and jump into the diagnosis. It's important to first understand the issues in the customer's own words. The call center's description is typically vague and was provided by the customer when they are frustrated and anxious. There are some customers who are just so frustrated that they can't actually articulate why they're calling or what's wrong with the computer. And also keep in mind, our customers call us for a reason. They call us because they don't know technology. So they are not using the right technical words. They're also not thinking of all the other technology they may have in the house or in their location. In order to truly understand what is going on, it's critical to sit with the customer in a calm area and get the full scope by asking exploratory questions. Once the customer starts talking, it's easier to understand the true issues at hand and to begin thinking about the total solution. By asking the right questions up front, you will have the information you need when you sit down at the device to begin the diagnosis. And back to our service call step-by-step guide. Step 6 is present the total solution. You'll present at least 2 solutions. Offer internet security solution and backup solution. Explain the flat fee and charge for each solution. Write the details for each solution on the FSR. Have the customer approve and decline the service by having them initial the FSR. This is a huge step. This is actually holding the customer accountable. We have them actually acknowledge the services that we're offering. So we want to make sure that if they have any questions, they ask them. And by actually having them initial our paperwork, they are more inclined to actually ask questions or make sure they really understand what we're offering them. The customer's approval is required before any work may begin. Step 7 is service and repair. So service the customer's approved solution. Keep the customer updated on status and timing. Step 8 is service call completion. Complete the FSR paperwork, including call resolution notes, time in, time out, and payment type. Review the service with the customer and have the customer test their device. This can be really quick. This can be 5 to 10 minutes of the customer just sitting at their device, doing everything they would do on a normal basis, making sure they can send and receive email, make sure all their favorites are there, make sure their homepage is the same. But that's something little that will save you follow-up issues in the future. And it'll help avoid customers calling 5 minutes after you leave and saying, your nerd was just here, but something doesn't look right. So this is a great way to really provide the total solution and make sure that we're not getting customers calling us with issues in the future. If bringing back to the office, document every item you are bringing back. Collect the payment from the customer at the time of service. It's not an option to bill the customer later. Again, customers are told this when they book their service calls. Sign the FSR paperwork. Have the customer sign the authorization client sign off on the FSR. The nerd will sign, print, and date the FSR. Give the back copy of the signed FSR paperwork to the customer. Ask the customer if they would like to schedule a tune-up at this time. Then give a business card to the customer and ask the customer for referrals. Step 9 is closeout. After leaving the customer location and while still in the driveway or parking lot, email the completed FSR to your designated FSR email address. Upon return to the Nerd Studio store, place the completed FSR and payment in the Nerd Drop-Off Center. Bringing a device back to the office. This will happen from time to time. We do our best to resolve any issues at the customer location, but there are times where a device needs to come back to the store. So if we're doing that, the nerd must document all items that are bringing back on the FSR. This includes the power cord, any software, a wireless mouse receiver, etc. It also includes any necessary usernames and passwords. When a nerd brings a computer or device back to the office, they must follow the service call procedure and send the completed FSR to their designated email address. The call center will close out the work order. So once you leave a customer's location, that part of the service call is done. We recognize that that part of the service call is completed, and we recognize the revenue that we collected for that service call. So it's very important to still set in your FSR and close out that portion of the service call. The call center will create a new in-store work order, and this work order will follow the computer or device through the time that we have it in store and up to the time that we drop it off back to the customer. We can also use this new work order to schedule in-store work time. So if a nerd needs time in store to work on a machine or a device, we can use that work order to actually block off time and not schedule any more on-site work. When bringing a device back to the office, the nerd must either collect the full fee up front or if the full fee is unknown, collect the diagnosis fee upfront. When dropping off the device for the customer, the nerd must either list a $0 cost if the full fee has already been paid, or charge the balance due if only the diagnosis fee has been collected. So we have times where we have a nerd do a diagnosis or assessment and we determine that it will be a very complex issue. We need to bring it back to the store, but we know what's going on with it and we know what we need to do to resolve the issue. In that case, we know the full fee up front, so we would collect that from the customer. Another situation, which is very rare, is we cannot, for whatever reason, complete a full diagnosis at the customer's location, or maybe the customer just wants us to take it back to the office. So in a situation like that, we would take the $99 diagnosis fee up front because the customer's already agreed to that. We would bring it back to the store, and while we have it in the Nerd Lab, we would complete the diagnosis, still call the customer, and offer our 2 solutions, and then that $99 that they paid would go towards any additional labor charges. Sometimes we have misquoted pricing, and then we have scope creep. So 2 different situations. Misquoted pricing happens if a nerd misdiagnoses a problem with the computer. So if the nerd misdiagnosed the price, they can't go back and ask the customer for more money. Sometimes nerds will start a diagnosis and the issue may not look as complex as it really is. So a nerd may quote a lesser price and then, halfway through or maybe almost at the end, it turns out to be a much more complex issue and we should have been pricing the situation higher. You can share with the customer that the service call was much more involved and should have been quoted at a higher price. Make sure they know you will not charge them any additional fee today, but in the future, similar work will be priced higher. Use this as a learning experience for future service calls. So again, it's important to get familiar with your service calls at the beginning of the day because you may see the situation sometimes, and then in the future, you want to make sure that you don't have that same situation happen. Our next item is scope creep. Scope creep is when the customer asks for work above and beyond the approved solution. You cannot do additional work for free. Explain to the customer that this is additional work and that you will need to provide a price for the service. Upgrade to the appropriate flat rate to cover the additional work. We try to avoid this issue by doing those exploratory questions up front. So always asking the customer if they have more devices in the home or in the business that they want us to look at. However, there are times where a customer may remember halfway through that they have another device or want you to look at something while you're waiting for something else to complete. So we can absolutely work on as many issues or as many devices or computers that the customer wants us to, but we do need to price our services accordingly. So we can upgrade to an appropriate flat rate, we can offer an hourly rate, or we can remind them that we have some great service agreements. NerdSo offers recycling services to our customers. We always charge a recycling fee. The suggested fee is $35. We never take old devices for our own use. By putting a value on recycling, the customer understands that we now have to discard the device. If there's no value on recycling devices, customers often feel that NerdSo owes them something in return. So it's all about providing the whole solution. We want to make sure that we're helping out our customers. So if a customer does have an old machine that they want us to recycle for them, we absolutely can. We'll make sure that it's disposed of accordingly and that it's done the right way. We'll make sure that no data is compromised. And we always just take a $35 recycling fee just so customers understand that we're not using it for our own use and that there's actually work and a job behind doing that recycling for them. Next is how to ask for a referral. We have seen businesses grow so much by referrals. We want to make sure that everyone's capitalizing on that. So we want this to be very easy for nerds to do, and we want to make sure they're asking for referrals in a friendly manner, such as Mrs. Smith, I hope you were happy with my service today. Do you know anyone who might benefit from my service? And do this during the service call, do this at the end of the service call, whenever you feel comfortable, but just make sure you're doing this during the service call. If a customer does have someone that may benefit from our service, we can say, great, would you mind if I give them a call to introduce Nerds to Go? If not, here are a few extra business cards that you're welcome to share with friends and family. Our next section is using the FSR to guide each service call. So here's a picture of our FSR. And then with the FSR, we have our different steps that we went over a few minutes ago. So step 1 of the service call procedure is start. You're going to start the FSR paperwork by filling in the work order number and the date in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to complete all the sections in this customer area right here. So name, address, phone number, email address, description of the problem or symptoms. Step 2 is contact. You're going to contact the customer on the provided phone numbers and let them know that you are on their way. Step 3 is arrival. You're going to arrive at the customer's location. Step 4 is introduction. So introduce yourself by first and last name and hand the customer a business card. Step 5 is diagnosis. Step 6 is present the total solution. You're going to offer the customer 2 valuable solutions. So right here, solution 1 and solution 2. We're going to make sure to include internet security solutions and a backup solution. We're going to go over the different solutions with the customer and have them initial the solution they accept and initial the solution they decline. Step 7 is service and repair. Step 8 is service call completion. You'll fill in your notes here. Make sure your notes are detailed enough so that they make sense to you, they can make sense to any future nerds that go out there, and they make sense to the customer. So make sure you're putting in there what you actually diagnosed the issue as, put in what you did to resolve any issues, and then just any important details, again, anything that you may want to remember or something you may want a future nerd to know. You're going to put the subtotal, tax, and total. Select the payment method, put the time in and time out, and then have the customer sign the client signature and date section, and then you as a nerd will sign at the bottom and you'll also print your name. Step 9 is closeout. You'll take a photo of the FSR and email it to your designated FSR email address. Our next section is in-store service offerings. So along with your on-site service offerings, you may or may not have in-store service, but we'll go through it just in case you have customers that find you somehow and they want to leave their computer or device with you. When a customer comes in store, we have a $59 diagnosis fee. We take that up front at drop-off, and then that would go towards any additional labor charges. Again, we have the minimum charge for $129. Again, this is a quick fix, so anything that takes 15 to 20 minutes worth of work. We have standard service for $179, advanced service for $199, choice service for $249, premium service for $299. We also offer an emergency service, and that has an emergency fee associated with it. This is $99. This fee is in addition to any labor charges we may quote the customer. This is essentially a jump the line pass, so the customer is paying to get a diagnosis within 4 to 8 hours. This is just to expedite the diagnosis. We're never rushing a repair because that's really not going to help anyone in the long run. We have printer diagnosis and repair, that's $59. We have game console repair, so labor is $59. And then cell phones, iPods, iPhones, and iPads. Labor is $59. We take the $59 up front as a diagnosis fee, but we use that as a labor cost also. Our most common cell phone or iPhone repair that we see come in is a screen replacement. So just as an example, we would charge the labor charge, and then in addition, we would charge for the hardware. So on average, it's about $70 for an iPod or iPhone for a screen hardware replacement. So we add that to the labor charge for $59. So on average, it's about $129 for the screen replacement. Same with iPads. On average, it's about $90 for the screen hardware. So altogether, it's about $149 for the total screen replacement. These prices are all based on market price, so you'll want to keep up to date on what we're actually getting the hardware for. We have an in-store service agreement. There's a $149 initiation fee. It's $19.99 for a monthly fee for the first computer, and then $10 for each additional computer. We need a 1-year commitment, and then it's month to month after 1 year. This covers all labor except for data recovery services. So that means if we can't recover data at a local level and the computer or hard drive would need to go to like a clean room facility, this service agreement doesn't cover that. Also, hardware and software is not included in the monthly fee. So for an in-store service call, when a customer comes in and they want to leave their computer or device with us, they would come into the store. We would introduce the service to them, go over pricing, ask some qualifying questions, ask them what's going on with the computer or device. And from there, we're going to keep going with the process. We're still going to use the FSR. And here we're going to have the customer complete the FSR and fill out the customer information box and sign the client authorization fields. We're going to continue the process from there, and we're going to fill in the other FSR fields, including the equipment. So list any equipment they're leaving with us, write a description of the problem, anything the nerd may need to know, or any different nerd may need to know about whatever the customer needs help with. We'll also write down that they're paying a diagnosis fee. We'll check off the payment method, and then we're going to write the time in, so the time that they dropped off the computer. From there, we take the diagnosis fee, we give the customer the yellow copy of the FSR, and then they're all set. They can leave, and then from there, after the customer leaves, we're going to check the computer and or devices into Service CEO and get a work order number. We take that work order number from Service CEO, and we write it on the FSR. Next, and very important, we're going to label all devices with the work order number. After the customer leaves, after we check the computer or device into Service CEO, and within 24 to 48 hours, the nerd will complete the diagnosis. We're still going to utilize the FSR and write 2 solutions on the FSR. So still the immediate fix and the long-term solution. The nerd will call the customer, go over both solutions, and then get approval on one solution. Then move forward with the customer's approved solution. So here we just have an example. If a customer maybe brought in an iPad for service, we're going to have the customer fill out her information here at the top and sign the client authorization. The nerd will still offer 2 solutions, so using solution 1 and solution 2. And then we still use the FSR to keep notes. So if you have multiple nerds in your location, if you have a CSR or the business owner maybe answers the phone and a customer needs updates on their repair, we have all the notes here on the FSR. Finishing up an in-store service call, we're going to enter all the charges and notes into Service EO. We're going to do that once the repair is done and before the customer comes in to collect their equipment. We're going to print out the invoice and we're going to leave it with the device. We print out 2 invoices, so one acts as a receipt for the customer and then one acts as internal paperwork for us. Our next section is FSR reminders. So all the fields in the FSR are very important. We're going to go over why they're important. So the first one is the email address. It's important to always capture the customer's email address. This will allow us to send them NerdSeal promotions and specials that they can't access anywhere else. You can't get an email address if you don't ask. Keep in mind that we never ever share customer email addresses with anyone outside of Nerds2Go. Next is the service client authorization. Before diagnosing any device, it's important to have the customer sign the service authorization on the FSR. This is the client giving you permission to work on their device. You should not begin the diagnosis until this section of the FSR is signed. 2 solutions. It is the NerdStyle way to always offer 2 solutions to every customer. This is the value that we provide our customers so that we become their trusted technology partner. Solution 1 is the immediate fix, so share the solution that will fix their issue immediately. Solution 2 is a longer-term solution. Share a longer-term solution that is of value, such as a service agreement, new computer, etc. Also, don't forget to offer internet security and backup solutions where appropriate. They should be appropriate almost 100% of the time. Every computer should have internet security and a backup solution. Detailed solutions. Make sure that you describe the 2 solutions in detail so the customer could understand the options, even if you are not sitting in front of them. What to write. 5-hour service agreement, total of $580, hourly rate discounted from $149 an hour to $116 an hour. Service agreements never expire. What not to write. Service, AGRMT 580 or SA 580. Important note, diagnosis fee is never one of the solutions. The customer has already agreed to this when scheduling the service call. So we never want to see the diagnosis fee as solution 1 or solution 2. Initials for accepting and declining solutions. After you explain the 2 solutions to the customer, have them select the solution they want to move forward with. Always have the customer initial for the solution they choose and initial for the solution they decline. This step is important to verify that the customer understands the solution that you are moving ahead with and will avoid questions or confusion after the service call is complete. So again, this is a great checkpoint for the customer. They really need to stop and make sure they really understand the solution and service that you're offering them. So this is a great time to have the customer ask any questions and get clarification before moving ahead with the service. Solution notes. Always include detailed solution notes to confirm what work was done during the service call. This is a great reference for the customer and the nerd. If the customer ever calls with questions in the future, it will be impossible to remember the details of the service call. The notes section was created to capture the notes while you are still at the customer's residence or place of business while the service call is fresh in your mind. Always indicate if the customer has declined any recommendation so you have record of it. Important. If you didn't write it down, then it didn't happen. Next is payment amount. Be sure to detail the amount of the service call, including the subtotal, tax, and total. This information is needed to accurately enter payment details in Service EO. When looking at the FSR, the customer should clearly be able to understand the total amount due and what they're paying for. It should be the approved solution plus tax equals total. Note, don't forget if the customer approved the backup solution and/or internet security, these services must be checked off on the FSR. If the customer used a coupon, this should also be noted next to the selected solution and show the discounted amount. Next is payment method. Don't forget to select the proper payment method of cash, check, or credit card. This information is needed to accurately enter payment details in Service EO. Your franchise owner also needs this information for accounting purposes. Time in and time out. Please make sure that you always include the time you arrived and the time you left. This is important for the customer to see so they understand the value that you provided for the service. This information is also required to be entered into Service EO and to show your franchise owner how much time each service call takes. And again, this goes back to the time that goes behind each service. We want to make sure that our nerds are pricing our services properly. Next is authorization, client sign-off. Upon completion of the service call, you must always have the customer sign the authorization to confirm that the work has been completed as outlined on the FSR and the authorized payment. Nerd sign-off, nerd name printed. Please make sure that you sign, date, and print your name in the lower right of the FSR. This ensures that the FSR is entered under the correct nerd in Service EO and serves as a reference point if the customer requests the same nerd for a future service call. No nerd downtime. So our goal is to make sure that our nerds are busy. We want to eliminate as much downtime as possible, but It may happen. We want to make sure that our nerds are being productive during downtime and that we're doing things to help grow the business. So priority 1 is customer follow-up activities. The top priority is to respond to customer phone calls, voicemails, and emails on the day they are received. This is the #1 activity to be completed when a nerd is not on a service call or conducting in-store service. Call customers with business and residential service agreements to check in and see if they need support. Schedule a service call wherever possible. Check in with business customers who do not have a service agreement. Make sure they are running efficiently and ask if they need support. Share a friendly reminder about NerdSeal service agreements. Priority 2 is marketing support. Post NerdSeal tear sheets throughout your primary marketing area and replenish any tear sheets that are already posted. So nerds should take a photo of where you're hanging up those tear sheets and send to your FSR email address. Take small batches such as 10 tear sheets for in-between service calls. So anytime you're stopping to grab lunch, maybe stopping at a gas station, take a look and see if there's a spot to hang tear sheets and hang one up. Canvass high traffic areas in the nerd card. Pass out business cards and brochures. Get specific locations from your business owner. Stop by marketing partners to refill NerdSeal business cards in their referral center. Collect marketing partner business cards if they are running low in the NerdSeal referral center. So again, ask your business owner where you should go. Place NerdSeal flyers on cars in high traffic areas. Again, just ask your business owner where you should go to do this. And then coffee stops, breakfast, lunch, and dinner stops in the nerd cars. Those nerd vans are some of our best advertising vehicles, so those always get noticed. Priority 3 is coaching and refresher training. Sit and review recent FSRs with your manager. Discuss what can be improved on future service calls. Ask any questions you have regarding the on-site and in-store service call details. So if a customer pays a diagnosis fee only, talk that out. What kept the customer from moving forward? Maybe your manager or your business owner can give you some tips or some pointers on how to get the customer to move past the diagnosis fee. Buy a minimum of $129. We really should see those service calls very few and far between. So again, maybe there's something that they can help coach you through. Why was the nerd there for 2 hours and charged advanced service for $199? So again, we want to make sure that we're being fair to our customers. We want to make sure that we're pricing our services accordingly. So that may be another coaching topic. Attend service call and in-store refresher training with the headquarters team. Schedule in advance. Watch service CEO training videos to refresh on best practices. Schedule time to review any service repair questions or challenges you are having with a member of the NerdSeal headquarters team. Provide a list of topics in advance. So reach out to your business owner, have them submit a request if you need help from one of our members of the headquarters team. Priority 4 is technical training. Review technical training and software training on NerdNet. Hardware training for manufacturers like Dell, HP, IBM, and more. They offer some great resources. You can do some software training from Microsoft, ABG, Avast, Barracuda, or more. And then research current trends and new technologies. Our customers are some of the first to have new trends and new technologies, and they will be the first one to call us and ask us how to use it or how to set it up. So always stay on top of the current trends so that we can help our customers. Priority 5 is additional activities. So conduct inventory if desired by franchise owner. Complete the daily travel path checklist. We do this at 8 a.m., 12, and 5 p.m. And then vehicle maintenance. So clean your car, get an oil change, and then other items as requested by franchise owner. So if there is ever downtime and there's nothing that you can really do besides this, make sure it's done. Make sure you're cleaning your car when you have some downtime and you're not having to clean your car when there's actually a service call to go on. Our last section is the NerdSeal way. So NerdSeal was really founded on customer service. We feel that that's what keeps our customers coming back. So with that, we came up with the NerdSeal Happiness Guarantee. We believe that the customer is always right, and we confidently offer the NerdSteel Happiness Guarantee. Our customer commitment is we're confident that you'll be happy with your NerdSteel service. If you're not smiling for any reason, we'll do whatever it takes to make it right. How we deliver happiness when things go wrong. If a customer shares any concern or issue regarding their NerdSteel service, we do whatever it takes to make them happy. No questions asked. The 4 simple rules. To achieve the NerdSteel Happiness Guarantee, follow these 4 simple rules. Contact the customer immediately. The franchise owner contacts the customer immediately, within minutes whenever possible, and always within the hour the complaint was received, 24/7, 365. If you as a nerd hear about an unhappy customer, get your business owner involved as soon as possible. One of the worst things you can do is let a customer issue linger because they're going to get bigger. So we want to just resolve issues as soon as we can. Listen. We actively listen to what the customer has to say. We never interrupt and we never disagree. We use active listening language such as I understand, and we summarize what the customer tells us in simple, non-partial terms. Rule 3 is we empathize. We tell the customer we are sorry for their experience and are committed to making them happy. We do not tell our side of the story. So it's very important to never try to give excuses. We don't try to justify anything. We're not going to, try to excuse our issues. We understand, sometimes there are customer complaints. We just want to make sure that we're not making it worse by trying to offer our side of the story. What we're going to do is rule 4. We're going to offer a solution. We find the solution that makes the customer happy, and we do whatever it takes. Our tried and true solutions are, we offer to send the nerd back out to them immediately at no cost to fix the issue. If the customer didn't have a good connection with the original nerd, we send a new nerd who is fully up to speed on the issue. So another really great reason to have detailed notes in Service CEO, in case the first nerd didn't have a good connection with the customer and we need to send a second nerd. And we understand that happens. We have different personalities, different skill sets. So this issue may happen. We want to make sure that we have enough information to give to that second nerd. Once the issue is resolved, we truly deliver happiness by taking one or more of the following steps. Offer a certificate for 3 free hours of NerdSteel service to be used in the future. Offer to refund the original service amount and process the refund the same day. Send a handwritten apology on NerdSteel letterhead signed by the franchisee. Or send flowers from the local flower shop with a thank you note thanking the customer for giving us another chance. The NerdSteel Customer Promise. We answer your calls in person 24/7, 365. We're available at your convenience, often providing same-day service. We are on time. We call when we're on the way. We are fast, friendly, and reliable. Our nerds are fully trained. We thoroughly diagnose each problem. We explain your solution in non-tech terms so you can understand. We follow up after every service call. We commit to making you happy with the NerdSteel Happiness Guarantee. The NerdSteel non-negotiables. We only wear the approved NerdSteel uniform and carry our NerdSteel bag. This is huge for customers. It really makes them feel at ease that they know who's in their home or their business and that this is a good qualified member of the NerdSteel team. We always drive a fully stocked nerd van that is clean both inside and out. We are on time for service appointments. If we're ever running behind, we call immediately to let the customer know. So if this happens, if you're running past your appointment window, just make sure that someone knows to reach out to the customer, whether it's you as the nerd, whether it's your business owner, or whether it's the call center. Just make sure we get a notice to the customer that you are running behind schedule. We call when we're on the way. When entering a customer's home or office, we introduce ourselves and shake their hand. For residential visits, we offer to remove our shoes. We use the customer's name and use the FSR to guide our visit. We sit down at the kitchen table or conference table to understand the big picture of the customer's needs. We thoroughly diagnose each problem. We always approach the customer with a positive attitude. Never typical IT support or condescending in any way, shape, or form. We explain the solutions in terms the customer can understand. Often this means non-tech talk. We have to remember our customers call us for a reason. They are not very technical and they will be the first to admit it. So we want to make sure they understand what's going on with their technology. So sometimes we have to put it in different terms and really terms that they can understand. Number 11, we get the customer's signature before moving forward to ensure we are on the same page. We resolve all issues within one visit whenever possible. We discuss clear next steps for any unresolved issues. We offer non-pushy solutions to help the customer reach their goals, such as new hardware or a service contract. Just a reminder, we are never selling a customer anything that they don't need. So we are not selling just to sell. We're offering solutions because it really is the best solution for the customer. Before leaving, we collect payment, thank the customer for their business, and encourage them to contact us again in the future. We give the customer our business card, Nerds to a folder, and marketing materials. We immediately finish the FSR and send to the corporate office so they can close out the service call and follow up with the customer. We treat the customer like our grandmother. We believe the customer is always right, and we always follow the Nerds to a Happiness guarantee. So that's it. That's it for our Nerd onboarding training webinar. So I hope everything makes sense to everyone. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to the corporate office or to your business owner or any fellow nerds so we can answer any questions. And know that we're always here too. If you ever get into an issue or need help, you can always call the 800 number, and we are always here to help you out.